Hello, my friends. It has been a minute, but here we are with another yoga practice. So I would like to invite you to join me to reconnect with this practice because it has been a while since we have met each other on the mat, so to speak. And there's really nothing in particular that I'd like to focus on today, like physically wise. Sometimes we spend class period focusing on a certain part of the body. I'd like to present just a classic Hatha yoga practice in which we focus on a full body practice, but really making the intention for today's class not only to reconnect with each other, but for you to reconnect with your yoga practice. That was my intention for this video for today. I've been feeling a little disconnected from teaching and from my own personal practice. I'm still in finishing up the last month or so of this new teacher training that I've been in. And it's just a lot. And so I have been pouring myself and my energy into that and pulling away from teaching virtually anyway, just so that I don't get a little burnt out. But today there was just something about the tug on my heart that I wanted to acknowledge from being absent from this space and connecting with you. So let's set that intention, reconnection, whatever that means for you today. Join me in your comfortable seat, cross-legged or what have you. Let the eyes close, bring the hands together to touch softly right in front of the heart. Let's take in a breath and let go of that breath as we soften. And another breath in and out. As we begin to turn inwards. Connecting with ourselves. What kind of mind and body did we wake up with today? What are we dealing with today? And you don't have to have some big fancy glorious answer. It could be anything small, medium, large, anything that's weighing heavy on you, or maybe there's nothing weighing on you today. You just want to practice yoga. Anytime we come to the mat is a good time to come to the mat. Good. So let's let our palms separate and come to the ribs as we invite in some deeper breath here. Hands are just here as a guide, not here to push. As we inhale through the nose, feel the body expand out. And exhale, feel the body contract in. Feel those ribs sort of knit together as your waist gets smaller on the out breath. And then again, inhale, expand, full expansion. And exhale. If you're still letting those breaths go through the mouth, now would be a good time to connect with your yoga breath, which is in through the nose and out through the nose. Smooth and slow. So you may notice when you transition breath, you hear that soft little hiss of breath in the back of the throat. What we want, very subtle. Keep going. Good, one more breath. And after that, you can relax the hands back to your lap. See if you can still do that same style of breathing without the hands there as a guide. It's a little trickier. Good. So anytime you can remember during this practice, we want to breathe in that way, in and out through the nose, focusing a little more on the exhale, keeping it slow and smooth. Let's just take another quick little scan of the body. Make sure that the spine is in alignment, nice and tall. The chest is lifting. Shoulders are relaxed. Face is soft. And then on your next in-breath, whenever that happens, let the eyes open. Blink away any blurriness. Go ahead and reach those arms out long, like you're about to give someone a big hug or catch a big ball here. Inhale and lift the arms. Cast the eyes up as the arms go up, and then exhale. Push the air, the earth away as the arms reach long and come down. And we look down. Feeling that lovely stretch on the neck. And inhale, repeat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And again, inhale, lift. Well, this time we'll pause at the top, gather the fingers together and flip your palms. Reach through the arms, but keep your shoulders plugged into the sockets. Reach up, really ground down through your sit bones. Feel the upper body lifting away from the waistline. Good, I want us to start a little shoulder rotation, forward rotation. So the arms coming down with each little rotation. So make this intentional, don't rush through it. Really get into that rotation, make it count. And then eventually, the fingers appear right in front of your eye line. So let's pretend, crack the knuckles away from us and round the spine as we look down. A little bit of that cat stretch. And then we'll bring it back into alignment and reverse the arm circle, the shoulder circle as we go back up and up and up. And then again, pressing palms up. We're going to let the fingers slide away from one another and come into our twist to the right. Left fingertips to the front, right fingertips behind. Gently glancing over that shoulder. Keeping the sit bones down, the low back down. We're twisting more from the thoracic, mid-back, mid-spine. Good. Inhale, slowly sweep the arms up. And exhale. Other side. Nice little twist here. Still breathing. Good. Inhale, lift. One last time, like you're sitting inside that bubble. Let your fingertips trace the curve of that invisible bubble as you come all the way down. Fingers touch down, and then give the shoulders a big roll back and set those shoulder blades on the back body. Good. Breath in. Out through the nose. Beautiful. Let's come out of our seat and into our tabletop. Take a minute here, plant those palms, knees under hips, wrists, elbows, shoulders in one line. I don't want to see locked elbows. And when I say that, I am speaking to myself first, and you can take that cue if it applies to you. No locked elbows, so just soften the elbows. Good. It almost feels like your upper arm bones are rotating in a little bit. All right, so we want to use our arm muscles and not the joint. All right, so we're looking down, starting with that nice long neutral spine, and then inhale, take that belly down, tilt the pelvis forward, look up, and exhale around a couple rounds of our cat-cow here. So I don't want to cue you through this. I want you to listen to your breath and follow the breath with your movement, which might mean that your movements are a little shorter if your breath is not long and deep yet. It doesn't have to be a gigantic, big, long movement. Subtle little shifts from cat to cow, back to cat, and repeating. And then find some freedom here. So if you'd like to get out of your cat-cow and maybe just kind of really lean to the side here, lean to the side, let the hips kind of drift from left to right, right? We get that lateral side flexion in the spine too, and we let the hips go from side to side, or if you want to come into a cat and hold it, or into your cow and hold it. Find some freedom here. Good. And then finish up whatever you're doing. So let's go ahead and turn the tops of the feet down if they were tucked under. Separate the knees wide as your mat. Go ahead and stretch on back into child's pose. Reach, before you let the forehead come down though, I want you to walk your fingertips forward like you're trying to reach the top of that mat. Feel that nice, long, big stretch through the arms into the underarms, and then bow down, let that forehead rest. And then let go. So no tension here for a couple breaths, really letting the breath be soothing as it comes into the body, especially up into that spine. Let that breath soothe the back body. As you exhale, feel like you're just sinking into the mat a little. Soft face, no clenching the teeth. Good. Pull those hands under your shoulders, push up. Lovely. Come back to your table. Make sure you've got a little bit of room in front of you. If not, just scoot back and then walk the arms forward into that slight angle. Okay? Shift the body forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower completely to the belly, turn the tops of the feet down. And I want you to imagine someone's gently pulling your big toes behind you so we keep the legs engaged. Good, let's come up into a little baby cobra and check out our low back today. I'm gonna hold this, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower down, curl the toes, push up and back. Come on back to a little child's pose light where we just touch down for a moment. And inhale, we're coming all the way back and doing the same thing. We're gonna flow from cobra to child's pose and back again. So come on up, inhale. This time we'll just hit it for a breath. 1, inhale up, exhale lower, curl the toes, push up and back, child's pose. Make sure you're giving yourself that space for the breath and not hurrying. It's not about how many of these we can rack up, right? It's about staying present with your body, remembering why we do yoga, right? It's not just for the physical benefit. It's the mental benefit, the emotional, connecting to yourself, staying present. Good, keep going. Each cobra, maybe you notice the low back, let's go. If you're feeling some tension there today, most of us, a lot of us feel a lot of back tension, back tightness, so keep going. And then, after your next round, wherever you are, as you come back to child's, so touch down into that child's pose light. And then this time, as we inhale, we'll come back through table. We're gonna turn this into our down dog. So lift the hips, shift back. Maybe the feet go flat, maybe the heels are a little lifted today. Let's everyone come up onto the balls of the toes for a moment and stretch the heels towards the ground together. And then I want you to prance it out. So one heel lifts while the other lowers. All the while the head and neck are heavy. Good. Yeah, that nice stretch to the calf. And then just like in cat-cow, find some freedom here in your down dog. Okay, so move however you need to move here. Lean into one leg, lean into the other leg. You could do that. Toes as wide as your mat, deep squat here for a little inner thigh wake up. And then you want to come back to your down dog. Let's get a little three-legged dog in, sweeping one leg up as high as you can while keeping your shoulders square. Good, reach. Bend that knee and let the hip open a little bit. Keep squeezing them. Remember, don't let gravity drag you around. You're in control here. Bring that leg down. Let's do the other. Lovely. Let's come back and find a steady down dog for just a couple breaths. Are your palms still flat? Are your fingers still wide, really pushing through thumb and index side? Good. All right, so bend the knees and start walking gently towards the hands. And when you get there, separate the feet maybe a little wider than hip distance as you release completely into Uttanasana. Nice, I guess what I would call a liberal Uttanasana with really bent knees. Right, and if you have your yoga props with you today, which hopefully you always do, right, you can always grab a block and let that be supportive. Head doesn't have to get down there. It's just a nice way to support the body. Good, so maybe you're holding elbows too. That's another great thing to do here. And if you just bear with me 1 second while I remove this outer layer and come back to a tank top. It's a little easier for me to move around. All right, so here we are in our nice fold here, head heavy like a bowling ball. Go ahead and release elbows or release your block. Push palms into shins, or maybe the palms even come up to thighs for that nice Ardha Uttanasana half forward bend where we have a nice long spine. The gaze is down and the shoulders are not encroaching on your ears. So really peel those shoulders back. Feel your shoulder blades squeezing together on the back body. Give me a breath here. In, out. Good. Let the hands climb all the way up the thighs. Reach the arms up overhead. Good, and then exhale, arms down, and we're gonna spend a couple minutes, maybe not minutes, a moment or two really building our strong Tadasana, our strong mountain pose, because mountain pose is the foundation of all the other yoga poses. We're always trying to look for those principles of engagement in Tadasana in other postures, right? So let's start with the feet. If your feet have gone a little wide, come back to hip distance for me. Pick up all 10 toes, spread them wide, set them down, still spreading the toes. See if you can see the color of your mat in between your toes. And just notice when you push down on the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound, you feel the arches of your feet like little suction cups. It's like it's lifting up. And from that lift, there's this energetic sensation moving up the inner thighs, coming up into the belly, lifting the heart all the way out through the crown of the head. Give those shoulders a nice roll back. Good, palms shine forward or to the legs. And then if you feel yourself, so just notice where your gaze is falling. Can you see your body in your peripheral vision? I can't right now. So if you can't either, I want you to tilt your chin down, until you can see your chest and shoulders perhaps in your peripheral lower vision, right? So what we're doing is bringing, I can't remember where I heard this cue, but we're bringing I think it's nostrils level with your ears or something like that, right? So if we're up here, right, we're not looking, we don't have a body, we're not really in our body here, but when we bring the gaze down, right, we suddenly, there's our body. So with this nice, intentional, strong mountain pose, we're going to take it into a couple sun salutations. I'm going to move to the top of my mat so I can do it properly. Good, looking forward. Inhale, reach those arms and lift the chest as the arms lift, look up. And exhale, forward bend. Moving with the breath. Good. Inhale, half bend. Exhale, palms flat. Right leg back, left leg back, plank, and I want you to pause in your strong plank. Notice the wider your feet are in plank, the easier it is, the more narrow things are, the harder it is. Just speaking generally from a plank position. In yoga, we want everything to be hands under shoulders and feet hip distance, okay? And if you need to modify and let the knee come down. I'm gonna drop the knees and do a little modified one here. Good, shift forward like we were doing earlier, lower to the belly. Big toes reaching back, inhale, cobra. Open that chest, good. Lower down, curl the toes, come up and back. Downward facing dog and breathe. Good, let the hips move back. Let the spine lengthen. Look forward and take those steps again to the front of your mat. Soften into your fold. Inhale, long spine. Good, I think I did that backwards, sorry. So fold again and then inhale, come all the way up. Woo, reach the arms up and exhale, arms down. Good. Let's change it up a little. Feet a little closer together. This time as we inhale, we'll shoot the rear end back and bend the knees. Lift the arms. Reach up and exhale again into that Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, half bend. Exhale, flat palms into plank and pause in your strong plank. Again, upper arm bones sort of rotating in and exhale. Come to the belly, big toes reach, come into your cobra. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Good, inhale, pick up that right leg with control, nice and slow, and bring it underneath, step it through. Let's create our warrior A. All right, make sure that back heel's down, inhale, reach up. Good, and exhale, take it down. Come on down. You can take chaturanga here at any point if you want into upward dog instead of belly to cobra, doesn't matter. Good, stretch it back to down dog and warrior A, other side. Lift, push weight into that back leg, enjoy this back bend. And taking it down. Modify as needed here. Remember, no hurrying. We'll all meet in down dog eventually. Good. Head is heavy. Breathe. Good. Look forward and walk forward. Bow into Uttanasana. Good. Let's come all the way up. Reach the arms. The arms come down into our engaged, intentional, strong mountain pose. Now let's move on, shall we? Let's come back to our warrior A. So we typically, in that sun salutation, we kind of breeze through warrior A. It's a hard pose. It's a worthy pose to work on outside of the sun salutation because it is a back bend and there's lots of things going on with hips, upper body. It's great for the shoulders. It's really great. It's a great full body pose. So let's take that wide stance, toes forward to start. I want you to pretend like you're going to take your shirt off, but don't. Let the arms peel out wide to a T level. Flip the palms up and bring the arms up. Right, I get cut off here, but you can see, you can imagine my palms can either touch, right, or I can just keep them separated. And then I want us to turn the whole body forward to the right. Turn the body to the right. So the right leg is forward, the back heel is open a little. And then take an in-breath, reach up tall, and exhale into warrior one, warrior A. Remember, warrior A hips are not square. Warrior A hips are diagonal. Woo! What we want to be square is the upper ribs here. So you can even drop your hands for a moment and steer your rib cage more towards the front while the hips turn out. It's hard, right? And then you've also got that element of back bend here. So breathe. If you have the neck mobility and you really want to gaze up to the sky, knock yourself out, or just look forward. Breathe. In through the nose, out through the nose. And then I want you to challenge yourself as you inhale, keep the arms up. We pass through center, we change the legs, left leg forward, right leg open, and exhale right into it on the other side. This is where that shoulder, those shoulders might be burning already. If you can't bear it, drop it for a minute and come right back to it. Breathe. Breathe. Good. Take it more into that back bend if you wish. Good. Inhale, straighten the leg. Drop the arms. Let's heel toe in for narrow stance. Give yourself a little march in place. Awesome job. Okay, we're going to come back and repeat Warrior A, and we're going to add on to it. We're going to send our Warrior A flying into Warrior C. So I'll remind you when we get into it, but I want to say it here too. Warrior A hips in Warrior C, right? So think about those out-turned hips, not square in that balance pose when we get there. Okay, let's reset up, set up again. Inhale, strong arms wide first. Inhale up, Warrior A arms, turning the whole body to the right, right leg forward. Inhale to lift and exhale into the pose. So, breathe. We're going to transition our Warrior A sort of into Anjaneyasana. Well, not sort of, we are. Turn that back heel up. So we have a high lunge coming up. So depending on your energy, your strength, whatever you want to do, some people just like to fly forward right into it, which is great. Or you can take the hands into heart, pull that back foot in first, so you have you're not launching off like a rocket, you're more sort of easing into it. I love hands in prayer position for this pose because I feel everything sort of pulled into center. It does make balance a little easier. All right, here's where I'm going to say again, hips, Warrior A hips, not squaring to the floor. All right, let that be comfortable. What I do want you to focus on, however, is that lifting leg. That left glute is squeezing. This back leg is real strong. Imagine someone behind you trying to pull your leg down. You have to resist. Block is another great option here. Okay. My balance is a little wah-wah today. Okay. Focus. Find a little interesting spot on your floor. Breathe. And then to come out, we have to first bend that knee and let that back leg find the floor. Come back to Anjaneyasana. Take the heel down, Warrior A. Inhale, let's come to center and pause. It's a beautiful transition. Really natural transition from Warrior A to Warrior C. So let's do it on the other side. Strong arms for me. Inhale, lift. Turn that whole body now so the left leg is forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale into Warrior A. Pause here. Establish your foundation. Turn the heel up and either fly forward with ease and strength into Warrior A or slow it down. Right? It's not about the speed necessarily at which we're doing the pose. It's the intention. It's the control. All right, Warrior A hips here. Make sure that back leg is squeezing, squeezing. Strong glute. And breathe. Ears away from shoulders, long neck. I am much more stable on this side. Maybe you are too. Breathe. Good. All right. Soften the front knee. Back leg lands. Join me back in this high lunge for just a sec. Spin the heel down, Warrior A. And relax. Come back to center and heel toe in. Create the narrow stance. Awesome job. I want you to stand in your Tadasana here. either facing the short edge or the long edge, it doesn't matter. And I want you to recreate your mountain pose. Good. Starting with the feet, right? Toes spread, energetic lift coming up the inner thighs all the way out the crown of the head. Tilt that gaze down. Breathe. Notice the effects of your practice so far. Hopefully good. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to Trikonasana. And we're going to do the same sort of thing where we do a pose, we're going to repeat the pose, and then we're going to add on. So another natural transition in the yoga world is Trikonasana into Ardha Chandrasana. So that's triangle pose into half moon pose. So you may want to have your blocks set up behind you for triangle. Okay? And we're going to take that wide stance again, toes forward. Again, pretending like we're going to take off our shirt. We let the arms land in a strong T, palms facing down. Whole right leg rotates open, 90 degrees. Left toes open, more like 45. Good. So before we just launch into it, let's build this pose. Strong left back leg. The back hip is controlling the rest of your posture. So go ahead and look over that right arm, but I want you to keep your awareness on what that back hip is doing. And so inhale, lengthen. Exhale, push into that back leg as you slowly reach forward. And I want you to pause again. Hopefully there's no strain happening in your front hamstring. If there is, you may need to back off just a bit. Right? You don't need to reach out so far that you feel strain, right? Manageable, nice ease sensation here. Then we tilt and take it down, and the hand is hopefully near your block. Grab it. Pull it over, push your palm into the block. So you have engagement, you have leverage to open the front body, which is what we're trying to do in triangle pose. We want the front plane of the body shining out, shining forward. And I know we all get hung up. I see a lot of students get hung up on really wanting to take this arm up when they're not there yet. So if you need a permission slip today, I'm giving it to you now to leave the hand at the hip and work on other aspects of this pose. This will come later. It will be effortless once you work on the other foundations of this pose. So you can look forward. You can start to turn the head up a bit, again, if you've got that neck mobility. Hopefully your hips are comfortable in this pose. I'm always encouraging students to play around with hips here. So again, with the square hips facing forward, that doesn't feel great for my lower left back. So I let my left hip rotate in a little while still trying to keep the front body shining forward, okay? I know I just talked all the way through that pose. So let's look down and inhale, come up. Relax, change sides. Whole left leg open. Right toes turn in a bit while I fix my microphone again. Good, inhale, strong arms. Good, and this time that back hip, that right hip is controlling. Look over the left arm. Tilt out over that left leg. Careful not to strain your inner thigh here. Come on down, grab the block. So that block should be kind of on the outside of the ankle, right? So we're not up here too far. So we want to bring that arm so that the wrist, elbow, shoulder, and other shoulder ultimately are in line, okay? And again, don't get overly concerned about what the top arm is doing. This is still triangle pose, even without the arm lifting. There's so many other aspects to work on in this pose. So breathe. I'll be quiet. Let's breathe. Look down, strong legs to come up, inhale, lovely. All right, we're gonna take our triangle pose again on the right, and we're going to take it into Ardha Chandrasana. So assume the position, my friends. Arms wide, right leg open, left toes in a bit. Controlling it from the left hip, reach out, just moving a little faster here. We're not going to be here for quite as long. So go ahead and find that block. We're in our triangle pose here. One breath in, out. And then I want you to look down. If the arm is lifted, take it to the hip. So we're picking up the block. The front knee is bending. The back leg has got to step in, so we're really shortening the stance. The left hand plants like 12 inches up and out from your foot. And then we start to shift all the weight, most of the weight, into the front leg as the back leg lifts. You can imagine a crane lifting that leg up into the air. Woo! And if you fall into a wall like I just did, it's all right. Okay, here we are in our half moon pose. Pushing the palm into that block, or you might be balancing on finger pads. Again, with this arm, it can lift, but this might come later for you. Don't get concerned about all these other little things. Work on the balance part first, the foundation of the pose. Well, some days I'm just content to hang out here, right? This back leg is strong. Front plane of the body shining forward. And then to come out, I want you to bend the front knee and let that back leg drift slowly back in. We recreate triangle pose for a breath. Let's come up. Good, I came up with my block, didn't need to. All right, let's try that on the other side. Arms wide. Left leg to the left, right leg open. Good. Control it from the back hip. Come into triangle. Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. Just a breath here, in and out. Good, look down. So we start to bend the knee, the back leg steps in, the block, the left hand comes forward and plants. Weight in the front leg as the back leg is lifted by that invisible crane. Flexing the foot and keeping that right glute squeezing, squeezing. Good extension here in the legs, in the arms, in the spine, in the neck, in your gaze. Breathe. Good. Let's come out of it. Start to bend the knee, back leg lowers. We recreate Utthita Trikonasana. Just a breath here. And then come up. Don't need the block. Good. Awesome. All right, guys, heel toe in. We've been in a wide stance for quite a while. Whoo. Bend the knee. If you need a little bend out, do it. And then we're going to take a forward bend here to sort of release and let go of these sort of energizing, strong, strengthening poses that we've been doing. If you'd like to have a block in the center for Prasada Tadasana, which is wide leg forward bend, have it there. You can also just pause halfway down. You don't need the prop necessarily, okay? Let's start with hands at waist. Inhale, lengthen the spine, lift the heart. Exhale, I want you to pretend like you've got a big, shiny feather on your tailbone that you're trying to stick up, show to your neighbor behind you. And as you fold, it's like you're coming towards the block and the floor. It's okay if things don't touch. My forehead is going to rest right here today. This feels like the perfect forward bend for my body today. Breathe. So if your hands would like to come down, this is more of the traditional sort of A version in some systems of yoga, right? Your hands might want to come to the floor or the block. You might like it at the hip. Either one. Breathe. So if you lock the knees, soften them. Feet are strong. And then before we come up, I just want you to think about the muscles required in doing so safely. and most effectively for your body. So that the belly is pulling up towards the spine, and it's like you're straddling a really wide horse, okay, to come up. So inhale, squeeze that horse so you don't fall off. Right, that engagement makes so much of a difference coming up. Good. A little blood pressure equalizing moment there. And then heel toe in. Bend it out. I want you to step the feet back to like wider than hip distance, toes out. We're preparing for a squat. Before you do that though, breath in, breath out. I want you to release everything we've done. We are done with standing postures. Bring the hands into the heart center. And as you exhale, nice and slow, controlled squat, descent down into squat rather. So you might find that your knees need to come in a little to really get those elbows. So a couple principles of opposition we're working with in our malasana, our garland pose, squat pose. We are counteracting gravity pulling us down, so we're lifting out of the heels a bit. And we're pushing the knees wide, the knees squeeze in, palms push into palm into palm, and heart lifts. So this is active. We're not just down here like a little blob. And if you need to grab a block to support your butt, do it. Do it, do it, do it. All right. Mentally, start preparing for crow pose, bakasana. Okay, so we can sort of release out of all of that engagement and take a sec to set up for your crow pose. So some people like to do like a little crash pad, right, for their head. And I have an amazing little meditation cushion, which is perfect for this, that you can have, because if you face plant, it's just going to be nice and smushy, no damage done. Some people do the same thing with a block, blanket, cushion, whatever you've got at home. Other people also like to use the block as a perch, right? Because the perch helps your hips get high, which is one of the first things we need to do as crow pose. But you know, in crow, the palms have to be flat, fingers wide, which is why I emphasize it so much in cat-cow, because we have to remember, anytime we're on the hands in yoga, that's the correct position, because it builds strength. It protects the wrists. So hips high, knees wide, knees come in and squeeze the upper arms almost to the shoulders. And then from here, we start taking weight into the hands. This is where those flat palms and fingers come into play. All right, so I'm still on my toes here, but I've got a big old squeeze going on. I already feel my muscles, my core muscles turning on. I feel balanced. I can take a toe off. I can take another toe off, the other toe. Maybe I can do both. And you can come back to your perch, right? So let me just show you the benefit here of having a little crash pad, is that, because you don't want to look down in crow, it's easier to look out, right? So if I like fell, whoop, right, no harm done. You can just kind of bounce right out of it. So anytime that I'm teaching this pose in a class, I always kind of stop the clock, so to speak, and let people just work on it. So I want to do that for you here as well. Just work on it. Take your time. Don't exhaust yourself. Most yoga teachers will say, try something once, try it twice, maybe try it a third time, and then it's time to rest. So you'll get frustrated, right? Because if you're not, maybe crow pose isn't your pose today. You're not going to get it on the 17th time. In fact, you're going to be more frustrated. So try it again, and then rest. I'm going to give it one more go here. Right? You can also take the knees into your armpits, right on the backs of the arms. Right? And then we can rest. Good. So balasana, please. Child's pose. Take the weight out of your arms and breathe. Melt into the mat. Excellent job. Again, breath, soothing in this pose. Let it soothe you. Let it wipe crow pose from your mind. And then when you feel like your breath is back to centered breath, inhale and come out of your child's pose. And let's grab our strap, if you've got it, or a belt, and sit on our rear ends with the legs extended out long. Unfurl that belt or whatever you might be using, and just have it sort of positioned around you. We'll grab it in a minute. So what I want you to do is to roll to the side, pull the flesh off your sit bones so that your rear end feels nice and flat to your mat. I want you to sit tall, lift the chest, flex your feet, and if you need that little micro bend in the knee, give it to yourself, okay? Take a breath here. Dandasana position, staff position. Roll the shoulders back, plant the hands, tuck your chin into your chest, and breathe. Everything is engaged here, right? Legs are squeezing, the chest is lifting, arms are pushing down. Back of the neck is stretching. And then release it. Good. Keep that engagement in the lower half and simply walk the hands back behind you a little more. You might find comfort in turning the fingers out to the sides a little diagonal. So now the toes, instead of flexing, are pointing. Point the toes. Push the hands down so that the heart lifts first, okay? Look up. Just a simple breath here, let it go. And then inhale, start squeezing the inner thighs together, lift the hips, Purva Uttanasana, reverse plank. Big pose here for the upper body, but the legs can help and the head can roll back, again, if you've got that flexibility. If not, it's okay just to look forward, okay? This is another one, guys. Strong fingertips, flat palms, does wonders. Good, exhale. Don't drop like a sack of potatoes. Lower down slowly. Yes, come back to your Dandasana staff position shape. And then I want you to just relax here like a doll on a shelf. Everything is slumped, relaxed. Shake the legs out here. Shake the legs, shake the head. Good, and then whoop, like we've come back to life here. We're gonna reach for that strap finally, get it around the tops of your heels and wrap the strap a couple times around, depending on how long your strap is. Good, so no white knuckling here. And I say that again for my own benefit too, because I catch myself doing the same thing sometimes, right? So no, if you're creating tension there in your hands, then your face is probably tense and you're clenching your jaw and the pose is just already kind of crumbling before it even starts. So ease here, my friends. Engaged but relaxed. So lift the heart. Breath in. Exhale, soft fold. Hinge from your hips. Let the gaze rest on the toes and breathe. Shoulders away from the ears. Breathe. Paschimottanasana, forward. Seated forward bend. Good. Inhale. Come up. Relax. Release the strap rather. Shake out the legs. Then we're going to come into our twist. I think I'm going to face you here so you can see what I'm doing. I want you to bend the knees, and they're pretty deeply bent here. My heels are down. With your left hand, I want you to dive underneath your legs and reach, grab your right ankle and pull it until your right knee is down on the floor pointing forward. And then this other leg, you can adjust and just bring the foot flat. You can cross it over the other leg. Ardha Matsyendrasana here, half lord of the fishes. So this is a little more intense if you cross the leg over. If it's a new pose for you or not feeling it today, let the left leg be in alignment here. So we're going to be twisting to the left. So I want you to hug your lifted leg, hug that shin so that your upper body lifts. Soft face. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Start to twist towards your bent leg, sorry, the lifted leg. Left hand might naturally want to reach behind, and that's great because it is for support. Right hand can continue to hold the lifted leg, or you're going to hook that elbow. Hooking the elbow requires a little bit more openness, so if that's really kind of straining you, don't be, shy about just slinging that arm around the leg here and hugging it. Breathe. You can glance all the way over that back shoulder. Good. Inhale, look forward. Come out of that twist nicely. Good. Reposition those legs. This time, the right arm is going to dive under and grab the left ankle, pulling it to the ground, left knee pointing forward, right leg is going to come in either on the right or left side. Okay? Inhale, hug the shin so that you lift. Exhale, and twist. Breathe. Think about lower half glued to your mat. Your low back is stable. We're not tweaking the low back. We're twisting from the thoracic spine and not over twisting at the cervical spine either. Breathe. Lovely little squeeze there for the internal organs as well. Good. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Good. Take both feet together in Baddha Konasana. The knees open out. I don't want you to sweat getting those knees to the ground. However, if they are hanging here in this pose, this is a great place for 2 pillows, blocks, cushions, whatever, so that the knees can rest and the joint isn't straining. Very important, right? We set that foundation. We're setting the tone for each new posture that we do. No stress, no strain. So instead of grabbing the ankles and pulling your feet in towards your groin, take the hands behind you, pick up your butt, and set closer to your heels. It's a subtle difference, but I really enjoy that. Keep the hands back there. You can either stay on your finger pads or flatten the palm. Inhale, lift, open the heart, look up. Feet are pushing into one another. This is like version 1 of Baddha Konasana. So we work on external hip rotation while lifting the heart. Like a little back bend there. Good. So let's come forward, bring the hands forward. Now let's take the ankles. Again, we're not yanking the feet in. I just want you to lift. Again, lift the heart. Stay here or join me in that fold while we're still pushing feet together. Breathe. And again, the object of this posture is to not get the knees down to the ground. That will happen over time as your hips open. And as you're working on this pose, mentally where I want you to be is energetically speaking. Knees feel like they're shooting out in opposite directions, okay? That just something about that cue for me releases or engages, honestly, it just changes the pose for me. When you think about mashing the knees down, it's like, ouch, no, that doesn't feel right. But lengthening, expanding out, that's that energy of yoga, expansion out. All right, guys, inhale, come up, hands under knees as we support them to come up. Kick the legs out. Now it's time to lay flat on our backs. So make sure your props are out of your way. And you have, most of your props. Have one block handy because we're going to need it for supported bridge and perhaps for your shoulder stand as well. So as you come down to your back, reach long. First of all, big body stretch here, and then knees bent, feet in. Walking the heels in towards your sit bones. And then you pick up the hips and scoop underneath, set everything back down. Let the shoulders relax. They always want to hug up. Let them relax down. So you're going to feel an arch in your back. And I want you to really lean into that arch. So it feels like you're really stamping your tailbone into the earth, right? Big old arch. You can even reach your hand under there. Big old arch in the back. So what's happening is the chest is lifting here, and that's what I want. So brace your arms into the mat and really arch the back, lift the heart. Looking up at the ceiling, inhale. Let the hips lift to meet your chest, right? So there's that line, that incline. Reach over, grab your block. If you do bridge pose a lot, you probably know what level of the block you like. I like number 2. You might have a nice, really open back. You might want to take it up to 3. I want you to relax here. Let the block do the work. You're still breathing. You're still present and aware. We get to sit here and sort of passively reap the benefits of this back bend. So engaged but alert. Sorry, relaxed but alert is what I meant to say. Breathe. Think about our conscious breathing that we did at the beginning of class with the ribs expanding out. If you even want to take your hands to the ribs now, that'd be great. Practice breathing out, expanding out. And exhale, contract in. Good. Keep going. You don't have to keep the hands there if you don't want, but you do have to keep breathing. Good. So I feel like the energy is really coming down here in my own body, which is the goal at this point. If you've got the energy to get on up into full shoulder stand, please do it. But from here, if you're feeling the low energy like me, you may want to just turn your block down to the lowest level and just elevate the legs. Personally, I love this modification. It's called seaweed legs, or I borrowed that phrase from another teacher at Yoga East. I think it was Trisha. I love this. It's like seaweed legs because I immediately know what that means. It means that my legs are dangling here, like I'm in an ocean current and my legs are a piece of seaweed. So this is benefits similar to shoulder stand, or like legs up the wall, right? Where we get the legs elevated over the heart so that we get some nice like reverse blood flow, improving the circulation without the effort of full shoulder stand. But you can still stay active in the upper body by bracing, pushing the arms and hands into the mat and keep the chest lifted, right? So with your seaweed legs, you can also turn them into bicycle legs. Now I have a wall to my right, so I can't do this really, but a nice wide V for an inner thigh stretch. Giving the ankles a rotation, right? Lots of things here. And just go back to seaweed legs. You're always welcome to close the eyes, especially this, because this is the next to last thing we're going to do before Shavasana. So the energy is really coming down now. And breathe. If you're in full shoulder stand, you might want to start working your way down and out of it. If you're here with me in seaweed legs, we'll start bending the knees. Let the feet find your mat. Good. Slide that block out. We're done. We're done with that. Extend your left leg long. Pick up your right leg here. Let's give it a gentle squeeze into the right armpit side. And then not just a squeeze, so my fingers are interlaced around my shin. We're squeezing in, but my leg is also pushing out, resisting the hands. Good. Release that tension. Guide the leg over for your recline twist. Stretch that right arm out long. modify this in any way so that this feels superbly good for your back. No tweaking, no twinges. Just release. Awesome. Come back. Right leg long, interlace fingers on your left shin and hug the knee in towards the armpit side while also pushing out into your hands. Breath in and out. Tension releases as we guide the left leg. For me, I'm guiding it into a wall. Let's move out here so I can get the full benefit of my twist here. Good. I hope everyone is feeling really good and reconnected to their bodies right now. I know I really needed this. Not only yoga practice, but I needed to connect with you in this video. So I hope you're feeling just as lovely. Good. Let's release our twist. Come back to your mat. Make sure, again, that all of your props and such are not touching you so that you have no distraction in your Shavasana. Arms out to the sides with the palms up, fingers in, legs rolling open. And then close the eyes. If there's something else that you'd like to add to your Shavasana, maybe a rolled up blanket underneath your knees, that can be a lovely way to sort of alleviate any low back pulling in this position. So it doesn't have to be a blanket, it can be anything that you have handy. Bolster, my little meditation pillow works in the same exact way. The other thing you can do too is to bend the knees. Take the feet wide, bend the knees, let the knees rest on one another, right? So I want you to have options for Shavasana because this is the most important part of your yoga practice. If there's one place we don't want discomfort, it's in Shavasana. You need to be able to fully relax here and reap the benefits of your yoga practice, physical and mental. Good. Eyes closed, face soft, jaw soft, tongue passive. It's just hanging out in the bottom of your mouth. Noticing all of the points on the back body that are in contact with your mat. As you breathe in, maybe you can imagine breathing into all of those different points. Imagine them as little weights in your body, and as you exhale, those weights get a little heavier and they pull you down in a good way, anchoring you, grounding you. Releasing tension from the body. Take another deep breath in. Exhale to all those little points and breathe. The breath here is soft and effortless. Tune into your heartbeat. Whatever thoughts you're thinking, let them be there. Imagine yourself floating above your own body, being a witness to what you're experiencing right now. That is your true self, the self that rises above all the things this human body experiences, the suffering, the happiness, all the thoughts, all the little weird things we experience as a human being are not us. The true essence of us is that pure consciousness. It's always there. Just notice how easily the mind floats away. And just as easily, you can bring it back to your breath. Take a breath in. Each time we bring the awareness back, we're reminded we have this body. So let's start to move this body a little bit. Little joint rotations and finger wiggles and toe wiggles. Gently letting the head and neck sort of rock from side to side. It also feels really nice to lift the head off the mat a bit, turn it completely to one side and set it down. And doing that to both sides. Something about that just seems like a really more enjoyable, juicy neck stretch. Good. And then start moving in any way you desire. Full body stretch. Hugging the knees in perhaps. Squeezing them in, rocking around on the low back and tops of the glutes. And then roll to the right side. We enjoy that fetal position, which always, to me, feels like the best part of Shavasana. Using your arm to support your head as a pillow. So try not to resist. So let gravity just kind of pull you down. You might even use that top arm to support you so you don't face plant into the floor. But really, you just feel the weight of your own body here. Breath in and out. And then our strong arms come down and help push us up. And here we are, back in our seat where we began. Come full circle here. Sit tall and join me with hands in prayer as we acknowledge the closing of our yoga practice today. We also acknowledge that just because the physical experience of yoga is ending, it does not mean that yoga is done. Yoga is always and forever on and off the mat. You can take this feeling, take your yoga, that ability to connect to your deeper, higher self with you always. It is always there. Ooh, I just got myself chills saying that. But it's true, it's always there. A moment or two of quiet breath will lead you back to that place. So, thumbs to the forehead to thank and honor yourself for doing a yoga practice today, making yourself a priority, and knowing that every person you come into contact with today will benefit from your practice. Good. Namaste, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope the rest of your day, week, month, year is beautiful. I will see you in the next practice.